Hey everybody, Jean-Luc here with Tay, and
up,
we
guys?
are at the Destiny 2 gameplay reveal event. We got hands-on with the game, starting with the campaign, which is maybe the thing I was most interested in seeing. You got to play it on the PS4 Pro, and I got to play it on the PC. So first off, how do you feel about the campaign itself?
Sure, it's really interesting. I mean, you've lived in the tower for so long. It's been your hub world, your like safe spot, and now it's being attacked by the Cabal, and you're actually going through it, like what's left of it, and being ravaged by Cabal. And it's interesting just to get through that. I think we talked about it early, like with each other, that it felt a little bit faster than Destiny 1. It still controls really tight. And it was just fun to kind of go through that double door that Xur's always been hanging out in front of. And it's like, oh, I guess there was ramen shops behind there all along
Totally,
or something.
yeah.
But,
The controls felt like, it reminded me of like going from Halo 1 to Halo 2, where it's like the controls are still like those tight, really good controls, but they're just kind of sped up, and it felt pretty good.
Yeah.
I would also say like, the campaign had like more, at least this opening mission had a lot of spectacle to it, and just like explosions and stuff happening. I was trying to think of like a campaign moment in Destiny 1 that was like this big spectacle moment, and I was kind of struggling to think of something like quite on the level that this was. So the whole campaign has these kinds of big bombastic moments throughout. Like I think it'll be like a pretty impressive campaign that, you know, could like stand on its own pretty well in a way that I think the first one kind of fell flat.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It'll be interesting. I mean, not only is that just the first mission that we got to taste, but there's going to be like 4 new planets, you know, and like new NPCs, new stories, like a new map system. But you got to play on PC. I got to play on PS4 Pro. I was running at 1080-30. What about for you?
Yeah, you're running 1080-30. It looked good, right?
Yeah, it looked visually like great. It looked better than Destiny 1 for sure.
Totally.
But what about for you?
Yeah, so I was playing it on 4K. I went to the settings. I was like, I'm gonna check out what I'm running, and it was 4K. It looked really crisp. It looked real good. But it was only running at medium settings. They weren't running it at the max. But it didn't look like bad or anything. Like I'd say it looked as comparable as it did playing it on the PS4, where like the textures looked really sharp. I imagine a lot of those like ultra settings that I was missing were probably more particle effects, things like that. It ran at a solid 60 frames a second, and it felt really good. And I gotta say, the mouse to keyboard controls felt really great on it. It's a little weird, like trying to adjust with like the hotkeys, and it has nothing to do with their hotkeys. Their hotkeys were fine. It's more just like
it's a muscle memory, right?
Exactly,
it's like you're so used to playing Destiny like on a controller, and then like all of a sudden it's like, oh, I get to play mouse and keyboard, where are all these hotkeys? But the good thing too is like you'll probably be able to, you know, customize those hotkeys. So like you'll be able to play however you want. It was like WASD, left click, right click. But yeah, it's cool to see that it's making its way to PC. It fills this like huge hole that was there before. You know, like this whole other set of group of people that couldn't play the game before.
Yeah, and they definitely seem to be doing it right. When we were talking to a dev for an interview, he was saying how they're going to have like an FOV slider, and they're going to have like ultra wide screen support and all that stuff. The fact that it's running on Battle.net, which is weird, like it feels so obvious now.
Yeah,
like
exactly, right?
When they announced it, I was like, oh, I should have guessed that.
Yeah, it's like this little triangle, right? Like Activision, Bungie, Battle.net.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, the PC version looks really great. Well, unfortunately, we didn't get to capture any of it, which I'm not really sure why, because I thought it ran good. I also got to try the PC version for the multiplayer, which felt really weird, mainly because the auto assist is turned off.
For the aim, right?
For aim assist, right? So I was just getting totally smoked. Like, it very much feels like a PC hardcore shooter. I think there's going to be like I think the multiplayer end is going to be a little more hardcore on the PC.
Yeah, I mean, you likened it to kind of like a CS:GO mode, countdown mode, 4v4 PvP, where you know there's 2 different. Basically, I don't necessarily want to call them bomb sites, but you know, you're basically going to plant a bomb, right? And
it's basically a bomb site.
And so like one team kind of plants a bomb, tries to defend that from the other team from defusing it, and so it kind of feels like that Counter-Strike Go a little bit, you know, and just with like the aiming and everything, it's kind of leaning that way, right?
Yeah, it captured that Counter-Strike feel for sure. Like there was the very Counter-Strike moment where we had set the bomb, but then we all died. But it doesn't automatically lose because the bomb is still going off and it's ticking faster and faster and faster. And we're all sitting there being like, please just go off, and they're trying to defuse it.
Charge is defused. A shame.
And then, of course, like they totally defused it and we lost, but it's like it captured that exact same like tense feeling that like traditional Counter-Strike mode has. So like I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Guardian down.
All opponents defeated. I love it.
Really, the only other thing left to talk about that I guess I got to try is a Strike, and the Strike was cool. I think it's like awesome that they're kind of starting to really play up those Raid Light-like moments where there's like this huge drill and it's like you got to avoid it because if you don't, you're gonna get one shot, and then your teammate has to go revive you, and if he doesn't revive you at the right time, you're both gonna die.
Yeah.
And there was more platforming.
Yeah, that feels very Raidish, for sure.
Yeah, and so I feel like it's good to kind of have the platforming, to have the layers and the different levels, and like the best example too is when you fight the boss, you end up fighting him like kind of up top, and like he's just kind of teleporting around, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, what's going on? And it's like the floor just disappears, and you drop down. And you're fighting him in another like kind of like terrain where there's more pillars, you can hide behind them, and like you kind of have to avoid the stuff he puts on the ground, and you're like, okay, cool, this is like a different kind of like moment now against this boss. And then all of a sudden, guess what? There's a third floor that you're gonna fall down to, and like there was less cover there, and he was kind of circling you and still summoning stuff. So just nice to see kind of variety in the gameplay instead of just like, oh, he's there, he's gonna do something, bullets Bungie,
Right, yeah, the other strikes, I mean, the strikes in the previous game were good, but I think about them and there's sort of a predictable rhythm to them. Like, you're going to do this, you're going to shoot some guys, you're going to maybe, like, occasionally there's maybe a small little objective, but it's pretty minor, and then you're going to kill the boss. And this sounds like they're definitely, like, pushing it forward. That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah.
In your face.
So that's all the stuff we really got to play. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to check out a lot of the stuff that really excited me in that presentation, which was like the guild stuff, the map, like the open world exploration. Like that's the stuff that the quality of life stuff they're adding to Destiny that I think is really going to improve this game. Unfortunately, we didn't get to check that out. That's more. That's not really conducive to show here.
That they're saving for the people when they buy the game, right?
Yeah, or maybe in the beta, we'll maybe get to check
maybe.
out that.
No more orbit. That's great, right?
Yes,
So.
that's amazing.
Yeah, but looking forward to all those stories, all those other new NPCs on each of these 4 new planets that we're gonna get to see. But yeah, I think that you're probably gonna go PC now that you've seen it.
Yeah, I was debating back and forth, and now that I played on PC, I think I have to go PC.
Awesome. Well, stay tuned to GameSpot.com for more continuing coverage of Destiny 2. Tell us if you're going to go switch to PC. Are you going to stay on PS4, Xbox One? Are you going to join the GameSpot clan when we make it? We'll see. Thank you guys so much, and see you guys next time.